So, okay, we've got hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So we're going to get started. Welcome. So this is a 5-day challenge in empowering your leadership. And so we're going to, like I said, we'll get started with this. And for those who arrive, say, a few minutes after, they can watch the replay here. So welcome to you. Okay, so the purpose of the challenge. So why are we here? So we're here because we want to be able to create our own personalized AI assistant. So Dee was just mentioning that it's she's going to be pivoting, going into leadership role, and I know that is this something also, Jamie? And also, by the way, do pop any questions in the chat. I'll go through kind of the structure, but that's the purpose of these 5 days. So it is that by the end of it, you have an AI assistant that can support you. And the structure of the 5 days, I'm going to go through this briefly just to kick off our first day and just the intention of the next few days. So each session will be 1 hour. And I will start with giving some background information on where things are at the moment. There'll be a little bit of research, just sort of get some understanding. And hi, Akshata, how are you? Hey there. And there'll be a demo, and each day there will be activities that you can then work on in your own time. Okay, so session 1, which we'll come on to today in a few moments, is to discover your unique style. And I'm going to get you to start thinking about what that is for you. And that's going to be the magic in what you then create as you start developing and getting your own voice in this. This is kind of where you'll see that makes a difference in the way we input, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Okay. Day 2 will be understanding how AI systems can help with task automation, and then we'll start working towards our AI system, setting up our AI system. Day 3, on Wednesday, we'll be building our AI assistant, and then we'll focus really honing on what that task automation will look like. Day 4, we'll customize the AI assistant voice, ensure that it aligns with your style. And so whether it's leadership style or whether it's a voice that you want, but so I've catered it thinking about leadership style, but you might say, actually, I want to be able to use it, say, for getting my voice or the way I show up. But yeah, so I'll kind of go through that. If that's, I don't know, for Jamie and Dee, that will be the case. For Akshata, maybe we'll find out as well. And we'll get to showcase and assess the AI system's performance as well, because it's one thing creating it, it's another thing being able to test it to see actually does the thing that you want it to do. So you'll get to present that, we'll talk through it, and it's and yeah, we'll get to give each other feedback as well. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So no, so this is always the thing, right? What do I need to know before coming onto a program like this? Well, actually, you don't need any experience. So my intention with this to give you step-by-step guidance. And so any support you need, I will be there. Thanks to yeah. And if you miss any recordings, there will be recordings. But ideally, I'd want you to kind of be here asking those questions, because that's where the clarification comes about, being kind of online together makes a difference, because you can watch these and then try and do that. But then I think you kind of miss it if you're not here, kind of because you can get sort of some of those questions answered. So yeah, by the end, my goal really, and your goal, if you'll accept it, is to be able to have an AI assistant that can enhance your leadership capabilities. And that's the kind of what I'd like you to be able to do. I'll offer a complimentary coaching call. What I'd also ask that you give some feedback as we come to closing these next few days, as we work towards this, I'd love to hear your thoughts so that I can make this and bring this to other people as well. So I'd love that. So you will have seen this checklist that I put in there, which is I have access to an AI tool. Now, when we talk about that, I'll go through that in a few moments. And that's going to be kind of the first thing we'll do today. By the end of the week, you'll have ticked all these off, and you will have seen this in the handbook as well. So don't, at the moment, I know it's the first few moments. So number one, I would say that's the thing with the magic. I have access to the AI tool that I'm going to be using. That's going to be number one. By the end of today, we'll have customized our settings. Certainly there'll be a task for you to do that. And you'll get to input kind of, think about your style, and you'll be able to add that to there as well. So I think there's a question. I'm going to see what that question is, if I miss anything. And by the way, if you've got any questions, feel free to raise your hand or mute as well. If anyone's got a question in there. I think there was a question in there. Did I miss something? Because I don't always see them coming in. But great seeing you all at the moment. So yeah, so these are the steps. And this was actually in the handbook as well. Like I said, I'll have tested my AI assistant and created it in this challenge. I've received feedback. Now the feedback is we'll do that together, but also you can get feedback from myself. And then I've got like steps. What's my next thing as well? Okay, so that's kind of like just the kind of setting the ground running, if you like. And is there any questions before I say who I am? Just briefly, so you know a little bit about me and what my intention is kind of doing this as well. You may have seen that in the handbook if you got a chance. I know Dee, you said you only joined, so you may not have got a chance to look at the handbook. Kind of say, I got into wanting to do this. I became fascinated with this whole field of AI, and I'm going to explain what that is as well in a few moments. And I started working with Jarrett Robbins when I was Tony Robbins' son, as I was training to become a performance coach. And I heard about Jasper and Jarvis, and I thought, wow, it can do all these amazing things. And then I started attending conferences, started reading up on it, embarked on a program in Toronto, and it just became my thing. And I got really immersed in it. And as I've been learning more, I've been talking to people, they've been interested in hearing what I've been learning. And so today I'm bringing some of that to you. And there's so much happening as well that it's all kind of at the start of where we are at the moment with AI. And I'll say a little bit about that as well. So, and good, like I said, some of you just joined. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're coming in from. You can say where you're coming in from so we kind of have an idea. We'll be together for the next few days. And so my name, as you can see in there, is Bally Binning. Okay. And if you've got any questions, like I said, during these next few days, you can please feel free to ask those questions, raise your hand here, because often what I find is some of those questions that you will have will help other people. So I've got a few questions coming up. Okay, I'm just going to check in the chat. Oh yeah, fantastic. We've got brilliant. So thanks, Jamie. We've got Jamie from New Jersey. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. It's morning there. Okay, so day one, what is it that we're going to be doing? I also, like any program, I also like to know where I'm going each day. I kind of have an idea what I'm doing in the next few days, but I like to know, okay, what is it that I'm doing for this first day? So by the end of it, I can say whether I've done it or not. It's a real kind of like quite an interesting way of seeing how we're progressing and how we're learning is like, did I do it? Yes or no? Did I kind of do some of the stuff she talked about in this session, and really like you to kind of have like a go at doing this for yourself. So uncovering your style, your leadership style, like I said at the beginning, it may be that you're saying, I'm not quite there with leadership. It's something I'm working towards, but you've all got a style, we've got a voice, so we can still create our own AI system to align with that voice. And I'm going to be introducing AI briefly. And I will say a little bit about what that is. And there's a bit of research because I always like for myself, and hopefully that will help you as well, to understand what is all that about, this AI thing. So I will start and give you a bit of background on that. So we'll focus on this big area. You'll hear people talking about AI. You'll hear people talking about generative AI. I'll explain that. If that's something that's new, I'll explain that, and how that can enhance our leadership capabilities. So by the end of the session today, I want for everybody, you may have done this, by the way, so you may be a few steps ahead. Some of you may just be starting out. I want for you to be able to customize your GPT, so your chat GPT. So I just want to double check that you all, I check which tool you're using at the moment, and you can pop that in the chat to just kind of gauge where people are in terms of the tools. If you're completely new and you don't have that, don't worry. If you're saying no idea, that's okay. But if you're saying, yes, I'm using ChatGPT, I'm also using others, that will really help in this as well. But the one we're going to be focusing on is going to be ChatGPT. So I just want to, and I put GPT because actually they're all chats. You'll find they are that. So GPT is the name as well. So let's double check where you are. Okay, so Dee's got paid, but you've got a 4. And let's see where the others are as well. So fantastic, Dee, you're with ChatGPT 4. Great. So that you've got the paid version. Okay. And I'll just double check with Paul and Cressida which one you've got in terms of whether you have got it. It doesn't matter if you say, I haven't quite got it yet, because I can definitely give you that. And then you can log in and create your account if you haven't done that at the moment. So yeah, we are going to be looking at ChatGPT, and there are plethora of tools out there. And what tends to happen is when there's too much, we end up shutting off because they're so vast, and and you'll find that as well once you start looking into this. So what I found, having kind of done this for the last year and work with programmers, and I've been looking into this a bit more, and yes, they are getting better, but we're also seeing that ChatGPT is kind of the one for me anyway that aligns with what I'm doing. And there are others that you might say, okay, that they do writing, they do better writing, but let's focus on this one, because then at least we're on the same page. I'm just going to see, we got Paul. Welcome, Paul. We got Paul using ChatGPT, so GPT as well. Okay, fantastic. And okay, so yeah, what is all this AI talk about? How does it help with us, for us, or help us in leadership? AI is artificial intelligence. We all kind of know that, but the capabilities of machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as learning and problem solving. So we will have seen it in very kind of simple variations of this, where we've seen Siri and Alexa doing kind of more these daily kind of tasks or everyday tasks, very simplified, really, kind of when it came to AI. How it helps leaders, because I think that's the bit where people are kind of wanting to know, what does it do for me as, when I step into my leadership role? Well, it's about becoming more efficient, and it's about kind of becoming more profitable and automating those tasks that you would be doing. And so it's very specific. So what the beauty is that we can kind of tailor that to our own tasks, as opposed to kind of having a very generic task that, say, you get off the shelf. We want to be able to do it, and that's where the power comes in. And so now there's this big discussion of, so what does that mean in terms of, AI, will it take jobs? Well, actually, if we start viewing it as it complements and it kind of enhances, it complements human activities, it won't replace it. So the magic is that, so one of the reports from McKinsey is that we want it to be able to help us in those tasks. It's certainly making informed decisions and building trust and relationships as well. So we've got these kind of layers you're going to see, things like machine learning and deep learning, which is shown in this sort of like, I'll show you the image, it might be a little bit more helpful. I took this from this article here, and I've got the reference at the end. By the way, I'll share all this with you, that what I'm talking through at the moment is kind of saying where the land lies. So artificial intelligence, we see it as this big kind of box, or if it's this circle, but box, they'd put it in. And these are the different layers. And what I like about this is that we can see there's this AI, kind of the bigger picture. You've got the machine learning, you've got the deep learning, and we've got this thing called generative AI. So this is the thing that if you want to get on board with these tools, this is where, as leaders, we have the power to kind of embrace this and then create our own content, automate tasks, because it has so much content behind that. It's a language models. These are what they call the LLMs, the large language model. You'll hear language from me. So, do say like, I don't know what she's saying, but they have so many like billions of neurons. And because of these patterns, it kind of creates these meaning, if you like. And now we're seeing text being created, videos, images, and that's all the area of generative AI. And there was so that's kind of where we are with this. If we see in this type of picture, it helps me, hopefully it helps you as well, kind of seeing in a bigger picture. This is kind of where it's evolving. And this is kind of the area that when we think of tools like ChatGPT or other tools that perhaps you've started using, like Midjourney or Dally, you will have access to that, of course, in the paid version of ChatGPT as well. So kind of thinking about this, okay, so these definitions are just like, this is kind of where the generative AI version is that helps with problem solving, and you've got these complex issues. And I can share this article if any of you are interested in that. Now, okay, so what does that mean? And also, I will take a break because I know I say a lot, and you might be like, there's a lot there, but yeah, just stop me if you think, okay, I'm not sure. But I just want to say that what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to use this generative AI. This is the thing that we're hearing more of. And like ChatGPT, and so GPT is the tool that we're going to be using. And so what I'd like us to be saying, I think most of us have been saying that they're using it, apart from Cressida, I think possibly she's listening in. Okay. And so we want to be able to have our own unique style, which we're going to be doing, creating. Now, somebody just mentioned, in fact, was it Dee was just saying that, using it for leadership roles when you transition into your entrepreneurship role, like how will we be using this? And automation is definitely the way forward. And what we want to be able to do is create this style. And the key thing is, do we know our style? So before we start even thinking about which GPT to use, what is it that you'd like what would you like to use it for? I always like to think, well, what is it that I need it for? Is it for decision making? Is it for delegation? Is it just for, is it conversation? Is it for writing copy? What is it for that you want to be using it? And then start thinking about that. You don't necessarily need to share that at the moment, but if you can start thinking, what is it that I want to be able to use it for? And then, because that's going to be the key thing. Some of you have been saying you're using ChatGPT 4. And so we've seen now, we've got ChatGPT, we've got the minis as well, which are kind of, so we're seeing those on mobile devices much more. The capabilities are really good too. But the difference really is to do with the slight difference here So now I'll mention something in a few moments, but ChatGPT is 3 was the early version that, you know, if you had the paid earlier version, which is the free version, you will have had this. It has sort of these billions of parameters, and it generates text. The difference between 3 and 4, so if you're using ChatGPT and you're using the paid version and you're using it that way rather than OpenAI, so the difference between, let me just clarify, OpenAI is the company and ChatGPT is the product. And so what we have with the paid version is ChatGPT 4, is the one that we paid $20 for. That's the one that you will have seen. And what the fourth version, what that does, it's more advanced in terms of reasoning and accuracy. And so if you're using it from the platform, so if you're using it from, you know, you're paying tokens, I'll mention that as well in a moment. You may want to use the 3 because you may not want to use too much of the tokens. So for things like generating text. But if you want more reasoning and complex thought and even emergent thinking, you're going to be thinking about using ChatGPT for the more kind of advanced model as well. So it's, yeah, so suitable for tasks like creation, chatbots. And 4 is more for complex applications and technical writing and customer service. So it's great to see that you have got that, the paid version, because I'm going to suggest that you do have the paid version, because that's the one I'm going to be asking you to have. Okay, so if you have any kind of questions about what that means in terms of tokens, if you're using it from OpenAI, then you know, let me know, and I'm happy to kind of share what that means as well. So before we go on, I'm going to ask you to think about customizing your ChatGPT. How many of you have actually customized your ChatGPT? And I'm not saying created it, but actually customized it. Do you know what I mean by that? Does that make sense? Or so, and I'll show you how to do this if that's something, if you could have said yes or no, if that's something you've done before, let's have a look. Okay, I did not clear how to actually do this. Okay, yeah, so when I'm going to show you how to do this, because when we go into ChatGPT, before we even start thinking about creating our systems, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going into the settings. And by going into the settings, you're going to see something sort of saying customize your ChatGPT. And what it does, it prompts you with some questions. And I'll show what I put in mine. Okay, and then Dee was saying, I'm not sure what to put in it. And I would say, and I'll show you what I've done, and that might help in thinking about, will help hopefully, what you might want to put into yours, because your customized ChatGPT is unique for you. In other words, it's kind of this setting that you have that it is able to identify you as soon as you open ChatGPT. So before we even start talking about customizing our assistants, we can do this. So I'll show you how to do this, okay? And let me see if you've got any questions. Okay, I'm just going to see, I'll stop for a moment and I'll see if you've got any questions here, okay? I have different chat subjects, so I go into, okay, an HR chat, newsletter chat, not much customized, looking forward to. Okay, so yeah, let's look at that. So what I'm hearing from Cressida is that you've got different subjects. Maybe you've got different threads in the chat, if I understand correctly. That might be something, you've got different subjects on the in the actual in ChatGPT. Okay, correct, different chats as well. So in terms of that, so it's great to have those chats, but they can get a little bit lost because we can have so many of them that we've got different threads that we're calling on each time to kind of set your newsletter as well. So it's great that you've got that. So each chat, okay, each conversation is almost like you're starting from the beginning. And we'll talk a little bit about prompts on Wednesday, but let me show you what that might look like as well. Okay. Thank you. That's really helps. So I'm going to see, perhaps let me just kind of let me get my chat GPT up, and then I can show you from there. Because I always think it makes sense to kind of like see rather than just kind of like talk about it. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Okay. So you'll see here is when we talk about customizing, hopefully that's still showing. Okay. When we talk about customizing, we have, hopefully you can see on the screen, you've got this image of me popping up on there. Hopefully you can see that. And so my plan, okay, so I've got the paid version. So I've got you'll see, perhaps you won't see it there. Let me come out of that. But okay. So you can see here so I've gone into that picture I've clicked on, and then what I've done here is I've gone and customized my chat here. And what it does is if I take this out in the first instance, okay, and so what I'd like everybody to do is to do their own, okay. So that's going to be one of the tasks for today is, so if I was to, so what it does, it gives you these thought starters, and you can say a little bit about what that is. So Dee, when you're going through this, I put in text about me because I want it to know who I serve, right? So I've said a little bit about where I'm based. I've said a little bit about kind of my background and who I'm serving. I'm looking at supporting leaders, the different programs, and tailoring coaching, so personalized services, that type of thing. And so what I've then added, I've just added the text. I've copied it and pasted it basically in there. So I didn't need to kind of like program anything at that point. However, what I did do, which I'll copy and I'll share with you, I have done this, and there's a little bit of like program conversation where I want it to produce a monologue, and I want it also to do something like the thought and reasoning. And so what I'll do is I'll copy that, and if you want to use that, then by all means use that for yourselves. You might want to amend it if you like, if you say, well, actually I want it a little bit different. So what I've asked it to do is I've asked it to kind of say self-reference, no AI intro or self-identification needed. Ask questions if you need help with reasoning or better interacting with my ChatGPT assistant. So we can even modify that a little bit more, okay? But that's kind of what you could ask it to do, because the voice is going to be really clear in the setup. So I'm going to give you this in the chat so you've got it. And like I said, you could, I like the monologue setting. So as soon as you do this, you add it in there. Every time you have a chat, it will just pop, you'll just say monologue, and then it will just show up in that way. But then you know that it kind of, it's kind of, it's got your voice basically. It's got what you are intending to want from it. Okay, so I'll do that now, and then you've got that as well. And if there are the pointers, I'll always be happy to kind of share. But that's my text. That's what so that's the bit here. It says, how would you like ChatGPT to respond. Okay, so that's the bit where have a think if this is something, this is kind of like, so that's where it's gone in that second box. As we're doing this, you might want to save this and see if this works for you. And so this is kind of, it understands the language of like monologue, and then I've added those tags so that it's responding in that manner. You can actually get ChatGPT to even refine that a little bit more, but at least for now, I want it to kind of sound human. I think it's really important, right, that it sounds human as well. Okay, so have you got any, before I carry on, I know I've gone through that really quickly, have you got any questions before I continue? Have you got any questions before I continue with that? Oh yeah, sure, of course, yeah. So yeah, 100%. So this is kind of where I was in terms of sharing my screen, customizing the ChatGPT. Yeah. So like I said, you can't, I mean, this is what I've added to it. And inadvertently, I go through British English with the Z's and the S's. It's okay. I just don't think it matters too much. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've done. So if you want to, if it's HR, predominantly that's the field you're in, or you're managing a group, or you want to be able to kind of have that, then do include that information in the customization process in your ChatGPT. I just feel it helps in terms of what we're doing there. I hope that, like I said, hopefully you know where that was. That was just to kind of go back. Sometimes it's like seeing this. So I went on there, and remember, this is for those of us who are using the paid version, okay? And so yeah, I've just gone into customize my chat GPT there, okay? And then I've just inserted that information so it recognizes, like it knows I'm the person there as well, okay? And so what Cressida was saying was all these chats. So what you've got here is you have all these number of chats here that or threads, if you like. Now, these, you can remove them. I mean, I tend to delete them if I'm using them here. And because what I find is that I have so many of them. And this is why in the next couple of days, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating something a little bit more like my own assistant. And then I can show you how we're going to be doing that, okay? Because that will help. And then you can evoke these assistants in your conversation, and I'll show you a little bit more on that as well. So yeah, and I found these are great as a starting point, having these, and each time I start with those, I start from the very beginning. It's almost like I'm giving it that conversation, like it's training an intern, like saying, I want you to write this way, and then of course if that's what how you're using it, that's fantastic. Okay, so okay, I'll carry on with my slides. Okay, let me just, have you got any questions at the moment? Do you want a few seconds to do you want to have, like, have you got questions about the setup before I continue? Because I also think, and by the way, you can ask questions later on. Okay, so I know a couple of you are in from the States. Paul, whereabouts are you from? You can pop it in there. Cressida, okay. And oh yeah, for Ireland. Okay, Cressida's from Ireland. Okay, fantastic. Cressida, hopefully that helps as you setting that up for yourself. And after this, certainly after this hour today, Paul from the UK, welcome, Paul. What you're going to be be able to do is spend a little bit of time and add what you'd like it to do. So you've actually customized the settings there. It's often the thing that people don't do. And it's the thing that really helps when we're writing an email. Like if I want to prompt or go into ChatGPT, I can just say, write an email and it will know it's me, and it will even put my name on there. And so it just kind of saves the time. So it's a real kind of quick, but really efficient as well. Okay, so I'm gonna welcome Paul as well. And yeah, we'll find a little bit about the things that you're going to be wanting your assistant to be doing as well. No idea you could do that, but you should have to tell. Okay, yeah, I have to tell it in every chat. Yeah, see, this is the magic, right? So the thing with Chat GPT and any tools in that, like, there's so many out there with Cloud or Claude. I also say Cloud and some say Claude. It's the pronunciation. But, it's always starting from the beginning of the chat. So I always think of it as like go into the beginning. But actually, if we're building a car, we don't want to kind of go back to the building of the beginning of that car, building of a Ford, for example. We want to be able to start where it's already that kind of like advanced level. So having these will really help and help with the just with your chat, with those conversations. For sure. You'll notice a difference as well. Kind of, it will understand you want that voice. And you can even, when we do the settings for the assistants, you can even refine it a bit better, even more. So it really understands the type of text you want to be able to create and so forth. And we can input examples in that to do that. So it really understands what it is that we want. Okay. So if you don't have questions, I'm going to continue sharing and I'll go through some of the points as well. But I'd love it if, when you do this tomorrow, that's, like I said, it's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be asking you to do. It's part of the challenge there as well. So you got quite a lot of scope there when you add in the number of words. And so, yeah, these are, I will say this kind of like the basic when you're setting this up. So as I was saying, like I put in, as a coach, I put that information in for whether it's whatever that might be for yourself. And so these are kind of the foundation settings of a Chat GPT. It's like we get given a tool. It's like I remember given, my phone and realizing I could do so much more with it. So the kind of power that sits behind that is incredible. So yeah, really kind of think about the customized behavior and tone. More you can give it, the better it will be as well. So so I put in examples. I focus on leadership, evidence-based practices, that type of thing as well. That helps. And then of course remember to save it, because it won't, otherwise you'll kind of forget that that's actually happening as well. So the big things that I'd like us to do is to start thinking about your role, what it is that you want your assistant to be able to do. That's going to be the big kind of thing moving into kind of the next step of the challenges. Like, okay, now I've customized and I've created the setting in Chat GPT. I want now to start thinking about what I want to be able to create. What do I want my assistant to do? And so I really want you to have a think about some of those questions as well. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask me about kind of that, what would you, I'll put it in the chat maybe, what would you like your assistant to be able to do? Let's have a little kind of like, let me find out what you'd like your assistant to be able to do. Is there something specific you had in mind as you came on? Or is it that you want to see what your assistant can do? Let's have a look. Jamie, what would you like your assistant to be able to do?
Everything.
So you would like to have many assistants, is that right?
So I'd love it to be able to take, and there's so many articles and things that I want to read. And sometimes it'd be great just to be able to read a summary to see if, um, really to see a summary if it's worth reading an article in full. So that would help me kind of sift through many different articles in my field.
Yeah.
Um, and while I don't like to create content with just AI, um, it is a good tool to use to pull out some relevant facts from information pretty quickly as a research tool.
Okay, yeah. And so some of the challenges, just kind of on that note, some of the challenges that we do find is understanding how to get it to summarize, because when you ask it to summarize, it doesn't quite do that. So there are, of course, with any tool, there are going to be limitations, as in summarizing is the bit that it's able to identify or pick out things, but we've got to be able to ask it to, if we say summarize the main points, it may pick out those, but it may not know which of the points are relevant. And what you're going to be finding when I was talking about tokens, it might even just give you a little bit of text, but not enough. You might want so many words, and I go into that later on. But yeah, summarizing it says it does it, but from having spoken to and worked with this for a while, I find that it does have some limitations when it does do that. It's getting better, but it needs to be prompted. So when we're thinking about prompting, and this is kind of where we'll talk, like I said, we'll talk about that later on, but when we think about prompting, it's going to be it's going to be the magic where you're getting information from that. But yeah, so I don't know if you've had much luck, or it might look like a summary, but in terms of the quality of the summary, I would still kind of question whether that's the case as well. So yeah, but thank you for that. Thank you for sharing kind of what you're wanting to do, and also sift through text, lots of text, to understand the relevance and whether that's relevant, or what you're wanting to use it for. Okay, so Dee's saying to automate tasks, to be able to help formulate ideas, to be able to help me write better and do deep research as well. Okay, so that's, yeah, formulating ideas is fantastic. I mean, this is the thing that I found really helpful, and also write better and do even go deeper into this as well, into the research. Be a mentor, tutor, and expert in any particular field. Okay. Yeah. So is that so, Paul? When you say that, are you saying to be able to mentor people who are to mentor, be a tutor to those in a vast field? Is that some? Is it? It's quite an open. I'm not clear really. That's quite wide. Yeah, so consider have okay. So I want it to achieve. I want it to be productive and efficient. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll show you what yeah. So maybe Paul, you can say a little bit to be an expert. Did you move your mic? Are you sounding a bit quieter? Okay. No. All right. So hopefully you can hear me. Okay. No, I'm still here. So I'm going to show you what I do with this, and tomorrow what I'll do is I'll go into a little bit more. When I go into my chat GPT, for example, what I do is I've created my own assistants, okay? And so what I've ended up doing is I've got something that I've done, and I'll show you what I do go into this a little bit more, so you'll get to build your own. And every time I want to draw on these different assistants, what I do is I evoke them in my chat. Okay. So, so what I mean by that is, let me just show you in my chat. So what I would just do is I would just call on my assistant, and then I'll be able to evoke on it here. So if I want to have my F&Qs, for example, I can evoke it there. The magic with this is, although you'll have one assistant, by the end of it, you'll be able to create many assistants, because you'll be able to evoke different systems in one thread. So, for example, if you're writing an article or you're doing any type of research, or you're drawing on different experts, you're able to evoke them in that one thread, as opposed to having to go into each thread, if you like, the different conversations you've had. So this is where it becomes really interesting, because I could evoke my F&Qs, but then I can easily go away and then take that out, and I can evoke, say, my mentor coach here. I can, of course, I've got access to, I've got my my BizBot. That's my business voice, and what I've done is I've inputted and I've added information in this so that it recognizes that I want it to use Bally's BizBot voice, right? So it's like, this is kind of what I want it to do. And if there's any other conversation or anything else I want to evoke, I do the same thing. So in that conversation, I don't have to start from the first principles each time. And this is where the magic is. So when we go through this, what I'd like for you to be able to do is to be able to create your own assistants, that when you're using your LLM, which is your language model, which this is one of them, it's a ChatGPT that is contained in here. And what I've also done is I've kept them private. So I know sometimes people will be asking questions about, well, what does that mean? I could make this publicly available, but I didn't. But I've just kept it private. And this is kind of what I want to do, because I just want to be able to use it for myself. Okay, so this is what I've been able to do, and that's my intention really, is for us to be able to do this as well. So they will be contained here. They become my own assistants. Okay, and then of course we have so many different GPTs here, but these are publicly available. The ones I've got here, I've kept them, like I said, I've kept them private for myself, apart from one, in fact. And you can get kind of money from those, but you get tokens. But tell you the truth, I wanted them for my own use, and that's why I did it that way as well. So this is kind of like, this is something that I started doing that hopefully kind of gives you a sense of what you're able to create, and we'll go through those steps and see what you're able to create in your own, using your own voice as well. Okay. And so yeah, so hopefully for some of you, when you're looking at text, or if you've got all those conversations, what you want to be able to do is simplify the process. I think the magic is making it simple, rather than kind of like making it even more complex as well. So I'm going to open it up to conversation and any feedback or any questions you have at the moment. And you do have a task, and you do have the handbook as well. If you're using that's great. And if you haven't got the handbook, do let me know as well, because for those 5 days, the magic is going to be able to create those, and by the end of it, you've got your own assistant that you could evoke in conversations using ChatGPT. And if you've got questions about any other tools, then please reach out as well. And like I said, I've contained it within that, because we can go to different places, and it gets very confusing. If you're someone like me who's trying to spend hours and like trying all the ones, please don't spend all your money doing that. Like, save the money and get a tool that's you're gonna be able to use, and then be able to evoke, and then be able to produce content. And for some of you, it's going to be able to draw on text, and how you're able to do that. So Jamie, we'll be having a look at some text if you know that's going to be helpful. We'll definitely look into that. So I'm going to open the floor and ask any questions as we come to the last few minutes as well. Have you, you know, any open questions, anything in there that you found that, okay, that was fast, that was like, there was a lot there, or was that in terms of pacing? I know I can be very quick when it comes to giving information, so I'd love to get some feedback from yourselves and hear how you found it, and definitely give you some more tips and even give you examples of what you'll be able to do in the next few days. Dee, how did you find it?
It's great. And you know, it's a lot to grasp. It's simple but complex at the same time. And I think that I'm gonna really enjoy trying to do my own customization.
Yeah.
That part that I was afraid to do because I didn't understand. So I think that I'm gonna be able to work on that with some level of success. So I feel really good about that.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm really pleased. Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? It's like it understands you. It's like you open up your own, it's like walking into your own room, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it knows you, right? It kind of it's got your feel, it's got your sense in that, you know, it's kind of, yeah, fantastic. That's great. And I always say that we don't have to overthink it, because we can always come back and change these once we've added anything to this. This is the beauty of it, because we've got, then it's ours, isn't it? We can then amend it, and we can start sort of like, as soon as you've done it, you can test it out as well by prompting, asking it questions. Does it know who you are? You can add that, save that information, and then and test it as well as you start prompting it and having conversations with the chat GPT as well. That's great. And yeah, any like those what I found, having the monologue is what I want it to be able to do in that setting for me before I even go into creating the assistant. And so what I'd really like everybody to do is to start thinking about what you'd like your assistant to be able to do. I gave you an example of like what I got it to think about, my business bot, I called it, or assistant, if you like. They're called assistants or agents, depending on who you're speaking to. So if you hear the terminology agent, then they are talking about assistants. And let's not confuse these with these bots that we see on websites. They're not the same. They're very restricted in terms of what they're able to do. The way they've been trained is to only answer those questions. So our assistant will still, depending on how we train it in the next few days, it will still scrape the internet and try and pick up and try to make meaning when we're having conversations. So the more we're refined and concise with the input, the better we train it, the better it is. And I always see it as an intern. You know, if you give something to your intern, you're still going to be checking it as a leader, thinking about how have I given that information? What do I need to do to refine that and then use it so that it really kind of understands what I want it to do? So it's that kind of process of understanding and really kind of grasping that. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how you get on. So you do have a task ahead. It's not it won't take long, hopefully, and you may have questions about it as well. But if you've got anything you want to add to that as well. So Paul, maybe you can say a little bit, be a mentor, a tutor, an expert in any particular field. So you want to be able to be kind of like an expert in a lot of different fields, from what I'm hearing from what you're saying. Yeah, so it'd be great to hear how that's helped you as well. So questions about, so what is it that we're doing tomorrow? Let me, before we finish for today. So key takeaways today is to really think about understanding the AI's role. What is it that we want it to do that aligns with us, our voice? And we're setting the kind of foundations, because getting the foundation right in the first instance is the key in creating any personalized AI assistant. And so just to recap what we've done today, we talked about what we're doing each day. We're going to be meeting same time for the next few days. We will be, today we've customized, so we've customized our settings, so that's the task for today. And we talked a little bit about what the landscape looks like in terms of where we are. And generative AI is the thing that we're looking at in doing this. And when we go into ChatGPT and you create images, for example, you are using generative AI. That's what you're using. So the magic is in knowing that that's what we're using. So we hear people talking about that. If you go on a YouTube channel that are generative AI, that's what it is. You're generating your own content. You're creating your own voice. And that's the magic in this. So preparation 2 is why we're going to be doing this and what are the instructions we're going to be giving our assistant, and how we're going to start collating that information as well. So spending time thinking about those points as well is going to help you stay prepared. And so those are your questions. Like I said, so I'm all about igniting change, realizing potential, and shaping the future. I just want to say thank you to all of you coming today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a think about what that might look like. And like I said, I'm going to be showing you how to build your assistant. So by day 3, you're almost like getting ready to kind of have your own content and what you're going to be needing, and some shortcuts on what will help you as well. Yeah, Cressida, that's brilliant. Thank you. I'm pleased. I'm glad. If you've got any questions, please, you've got my details there. You can reach out, and I'm excited to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, Jamie.
May I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure.
I noticed that you recorded. Are you going to allow us to have a recording?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll let you have the recordings at the end. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So do you know when this one may come out? Because I know that I need to watch it again, and I would really appreciate watching it again. I'm not trying to rush or anything, but I would love to watch it again.
Yeah, sure. I might be able to do it by tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, indeed.
And
All
also, if I have to miss a day because I'm home today because I'm not feeling well, but I'm able to get into my doctor tomorrow, and just wondered if I'm not able to sign on for tomorrow and I have the recording, I can continue on with
yeah,
you?
sure. Yeah, do. Yeah.
Okay.
Do. But watch the recording, because that's going to help you when you come to
Yes.
building your assistant. Because
Yes.
that's
I hate that I have to miss, but oh my goodness, I
yeah.
was so lucky to get into the doctors. But
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm excited to see kind of, and I will share if there's something I share, like there's a bit of input in the assistant which we don't do on day 3, which I will share with you. I will share it in the chat, so hopefully you can access that. Yeah, okay. All right, so brilliant. We're just 2 minutes remaining. I just want to say have a great rest of your Monday, and you're welcome. And do think about what it is, because I always think the clarity is the thing, that what is it that we want it to do? And there's so much we want. If I gave you that one top priority, bring that tomorrow and think about that one thing, because let's start with that first.
I have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If I'm going to be out tomorrow for my doctor's appointment and you have valuable information in the chat, I won't be able to secure it.
Okay. So if there's any information in the chat, I'll just DM me or just message me, and then I'll make sure you have it.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm so sorry to be so much trouble, but I don't want to really miss anything.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I'm glad that, but my intention really is for you, by the end of the week, you have your assistant and you've tested it and you're kind of going, you know what, it's working for me. That's what my intention is with this.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. And if anyone wants some of that text that is about the AI literature, then yeah, reach out to me. Some people like going really deep. Some people just don't want to know all that. They just want to make the practical thing. That's all good too, because actually what I want for everybody is to be able to use it and then yeah, use it for yourself, so that you know that it's kind of understanding you. This whole chat GPT where it's all very generic doesn't serve us really. So that's kind of like, it doesn't do it. It's like, doesn't quite have the, otherwise we're just all speaking the same way. I just want to say thank you everybody for your time, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time. everybody. Ciao for now. Bye. Bye now. Bye.